When the war came to Earth, it took mere hours for the aliens to learn their gravest mistake. Do not fuck with the humans. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Wright's calloused fingers danced across the glowing control panels of the UEDF Titan. The heavy cruiser patrolled the black emptiness at the fringes of the Sol system, humanity's home. Earth had barely achieved interstellar travel when the Titan's AI, Aiden, blared the alarm. Commander, unknown alien vessel approaching at high velocity, not responding to hails. Daniel's dark eyes narrowed as he pulled up the visual feed. A sleek black ship tore through the void, making a beeline for Earth. His gut clenched. Aliens. Here. Now. Move to intercept, Daniel ordered, his voice steady despite the tension coiling in his muscles. He had seen his share of battles, but this was different. The Titan accelerated, but before they could reach the intruder, space itself seemed to tear open. Over 1,000 alien ships poured out of the rift, quickly surrounding the Sol system like a swarm of angry locusts. All communication with Earth went dead. Aiden, who are they? Daniel asked, dread pooling in his stomach. Ledosians, sir, an insectoid race far more advanced than us. They've been at war with the Galactic Alliance for centuries. We just stumbled into the middle of it. Daniel gripped the armrests of his chair, knuckles white. The Titan was hopelessly outgunned and outnumbered, but they were all that stood between the alien horde and 8 billion human lives on Earth. The survival of the human race now hinged on the actions of one ship, one crew. Daniel stared at the view screen filled with alien ships, jaw set with determination. He would not let them take his home without one hell of a fight. He would make them regret ever coming to Earth. A voice crackled over the comms, the harsh tones of the Ledosian language grating on Daniel's ears. This is Captain Zarkov of the Corvus. Earth will surrender immediately or face annihilation. Daniel's fingers tightened on the controls. Surrender? To an alien race who attacked without provocation, without warning? No, he wouldn't let humanity be enslaved or exterminated. Zarkov, this is Commander Wright of the UEDF Titan. Earth will never surrender. Leave now or prepare for battle. The comms went dead. For a moment the void was silent, then the Ledosian fleet opened fire. The Titan shuddered under the onslaught, alarms blaring as the ship's defenses were quickly overwhelmed. Consoles sparked and smoked, the lights flickering. Shields down to 20%, Aiden reported, his usually calm voice laced with static. Hull breaches on decks 4, 7, and 12. Daniel gritted his teeth. The Titan was tough, but she couldn't withstand this for long. They needed a plan, and fast. His eyes fell on the self-destruct button, usually hidden under a protective cover. A desperate idea formed. Aiden, order all crew to abandon ship, then set a collision course for the Corvus. Sir? Aiden questioned, confusion in his digital tones. We're going to ram them, and when we do, we'll blow the nuclear core. Take as many of them with us as we can. Understood, sir. As the escape pods jettisoned, Daniel remained on the bridge, his hands steady on the controls. The Titan accelerated, heading straight for the heart of the Ledosian fleet, for the Corvus itself. The alien ships fired relentlessly, tearing the Titan apart piece by piece, but still, she pushed forward, an unstoppable force. The Corvus grew larger in the view screen, looming like a shadow of death. Daniel's finger hovered over the self-destruct. One press and it would all be over. The Titan, the Corvus himself, but he would buy Earth precious time. Suddenly, space lit up like a supernova. Massive explosions tore through the Ledosian fleet, ships blossoming into fireballs left and right. Daniel stared, mouth agape, as a fleet of previously invisible ships shimmered into view, human ships, unleashing hell on the Ledosians. Project Sentinel, Aiden said, awe in his voice. A secret weapons project, stealth ships, advanced weapons. They were hidden in the outer system, waiting. As the Ledosians scrambled, their formation broken, Daniel wrenched the Titan's controls. There was still a battle to be won. Grinning fiercely, he swung the heavy cruiser around, charging headlong into the fray, the Sentinel fleet at his side. The tides had turned, and the Ludosians were about to learn the depths of their mistake in coming to Earth. As the battle raged in the void above Earth, Commander Wright's comm crackled to life. "Commander, this is Dr. Eliza Hoffman from Project Sentinel. We've uncovered critical intel on the Ludosians." Wright's brow furrowed as he listened, his eyes still fixed on the chaotic space battle unfolding before him. Dr. Hoffman's voice was tense, urgent. "The Ludosians operate under a hive mind, controlled by a central queen on their homeworld. If we can eliminate her, their entire fleet will be paralyzed." A glimmer of hope sparked in Wright's chest. This could be the key to ending the war swiftly, to saving Earth. "Understood, Doctor. Send me the coordinates. I'll assemble a strike team." Minutes later, Wright found himself aboard a cloaked shuttle, accompanied by Dr. Hoffman and a hand-picked group of Sentinel operatives. They slipped past the Ludosian defenses, the advanced stealth technology rendering them invisible to the enemy's sensors. As they approached the Ludosian homeworld, a strange sight greeted them. The planet's surface was a sprawling organic metropolis, pulsing with an eerie bioluminescent glow. The structures seemed to grow from the ground itself, twisting and intertwining in a dizzying array. The shuttle landed on the outskirts of the city, hidden from view. Wright and his team disembarked, their weapons at the ready. Dr. Hoffman consulted her datapad, pointing towards the center of the city. "There. That's where we'll find the Queen, in the heart of the hive." They began their trek into the alien city, the silence broken only by the soft humming of the organic structures surrounding them. Each step took them deeper into the labyrinthine corridors, the walls pulsating as if alive. Suddenly, a piercing shriek echoed through the hive. The Ludosians had sensed their presence, their telepathic abilities alerting them to the intruders. The sound of skittering insectoid feet filled the air, growing louder by the second. Wright and his team pressed on, their hearts pounding as they navigated the twisting passages. Ludosian warriors emerged from the shadows, their chitinous exoskeletons glinting in the bioluminescent light. The team fought their way through, each encounter more harrowing than the last. The deeper they ventured, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The air was thick, heavy with a sense of dread that seeped into their very bones. The walls seemed to close in around them, the pulsating rhythm growing more intense, more maddening. And still they pushed forward, driven by the knowledge that the fate of Earth, of all humanity, rested on their shoulders. The Queen was close. They could feel it in the very air they breathed. But so, too, were the Ludosians, their presence an ever-present threat, lurking just out of sight. The corridors of the Ludosian hive twisted and turned, a labyrinth of pulsating organic walls. Wright and his team pushed deeper, their weapons at the ready, sweat beading on their brows. The air grew thick, oppressive, as if the very essence of the hive was trying to suffocate them. Suddenly they stumbled into a vast chamber, and their blood ran cold. Grotesque egg sacs lined the walls, each one pulsating with a sickening rhythm. The eggs were semi-translucent, and within each one, hundreds of Ludosian warriors lay curled, waiting to be born. Dr. Hoffman's eyes widened in horror. "My God, they're preparing for a full-scale invasion of Earth. Each of these eggs could spawn an army." Wright's jaw tightened. They had to act fast. "We need to destroy these eggs now before they have a chance to hatch." The team opened fire, blasting the egg sacs with concentrated bursts of plasma. The sacs burst open, spilling viscous fluid across the floor. But for every egg they destroyed, it seemed 2 more took its place, and the noise of the firefight was drawing attention. Ludosian warriors poured into the chamber, their chitinous exoskeletons deflecting the team's shots. They swarmed forward, a relentless tide of claws and mandibles. Wright and his men fought back, but they were quickly becoming overwhelmed. "Fall back," Wright shouted over the din of battle. "We need to regroup." They retreated into a narrow corridor, the Ludosians hot on their heels. Wright knew they couldn't keep this up forever. They needed to buy more time. "Dr. Hoffman, take the rest of the team and plant explosive charges throughout the chamber. I'll continue searching for the Queen." Hoffman nodded, her face grim. Understood, Commander. Good luck. As the team split off, Wright forged ahead alone. The corridors seemed to close in around him, the organic walls pulsing with malevolent life. He could feel the Queen's presence, drawing him forward like a moth to a flame. And then he found himself in the heart of the hive, a cavernous chamber dominated by a colossal, grotesque creature, the Ledosian Queen. She was a nightmarish fusion of insect and machine, her bloated body connected to the hive by a network of pulsating tubes. As Wright approached, a sudden, searing pain lanced through his skull. He staggered, clutching his head. The Queen's psychic assault, a final defense mechanism. The pain intensified, threatening to tear his mind apart. But Wright pushed forward, gritting his teeth against the agony. He could see the Queen's elite guard closing in around him, their powerful armored forms a deadly barrier between him and his target. With a roar of defiance, Wright charged forward, firing his weapon with one hand, the other pressed against his temple, trying to shield his mind from the psychic onslaught. The elite guard fell upon him, a whirlwind of slashing claws and stabbing mandibles. Wright fought like a man possessed, his movements a blur of desperate, frenzied action. The pain in his head was blinding, all-consuming, but still he pushed on. He had to reach the Queen, had to end this, no matter the cost. Step by agonizing step, he drew closer to the Queen's throne. The psychic assault grew more intense with each passing second, until it felt like his very soul was being flayed apart. But finally, through a haze of pain and blood, he reached the base of the throne. With trembling hands, he armed the high-yield explosive, setting the timer. He knew he might not have the strength to make it out before the blast, but it didn't matter. All that mattered was stopping the invasion, saving Earth. He looked up at the Queen, his vision blurring, his mind teetering on the brink of madness. The explosive beeped, counting down the seconds. Wright braced himself, preparing for the end. As Wright's shaking hand hovered over the explosive's detonator, the Queen's psychic assault suddenly shifted. Instead of the blinding agony, Wright's mind was flooded with visions, a cascade of images and sensations that threatened to overwhelm him. He saw through the eyes of the Ledosians, felt their hunger, their insatiable need to consume and grow. Worlds fell before them, civilizations crumbled, all life assimilated into the ever-expanding hive. The Galactic Alliance was merely an obstacle to be overcome, a stepping stone on the path to total domination. Wright reeled, his mind struggling to process the sheer scope of the Ledosians' ambition. They wouldn't stop, he realized. They couldn't. Earth, the Alliance, the entire universe, all were just fodder for the hive's relentless expansion. The Queen's presence pressed against his thoughts, her will trying to subsume his own. "Join us," she whispered, her voice a seductive poison in his mind. "Embrace the unity of the hive. Together, we will achieve perfection." For a moment, Wright wavered, the promise of power, of purpose, almost too tempting to resist. But then he thought of Earth, of the billions of lives depending on him. He thought of the Titan's crew, of their sacrifice. No, he wouldn't let their deaths be in vain. He wouldn't let the Ledosians win. With a roar of defiance, Wright slammed his hand down on the detonator. The explosive beeped once, twice, then the world turned white. A searing wave of heat and force slammed into Wright, hurling him backwards. He felt the Queen's psychic scream, felt her presence ripped away as the explosion tore through the heart of the hive. Then he was falling, his body broken, his mind shattered. Darkness closed in and he knew no more. "Taito." "Commander? Commander Wright?" The voice seemed to come from far away, muffled and distorted. Wright struggled to open his eyes, his body a leaden weight of pain. "He's coming around, thank God." Dr. Hoffman's face swam into view, her features etched with worry and exhaustion. Wright blinked, trying to focus. He was lying on a stretcher, the remnants of the hive smoking and crumbling around them. "So the Queen," he croaked, his throat raw. "Dead," Hoffman confirmed. "And the hive, it's collapsing. We need to get out of here." Wright tried to sit up, but agony lanced through him, drawing a strangled gasp from his lips. Hoffman pushed him back down gently. "Don't try to move. You're badly wounded. We're getting you out." As the Sentinel operatives carried him towards the waiting shuttle, Wright caught a glimpse of the devastation. The once pulsing walls of the hive were now dull and lifeless, the Ledosian warriors lying still and silent. It was over. They had won. But as the shuttle lifted off, speeding away from the dying hive, Wright couldn't shake the sense of unease that gripped him. The Ledosians were gone, but their memory lingered. A dark shadow cast over a universe that suddenly seemed so much larger and more threatening. Earth had tasted the bitter reality of war, had seen the face of the enemy. And as the blue curve of his homeworld came into view, scarred and battered but still beautiful, Wright knew that nothing would ever be the same again. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.